Greetings, everybody. Patrick here. Have Cheetah will watch party. That's right. We are back with another one. Our guest will be here at 8 o'clock. Screenwriter and film director, novelist Michael Caissie. This is his film. This was his directing debut. And so he will be here shortly to talk about the movie and his experiences in writing it and filming. And we will be joined by special co-host Kalel Neal. He is a young filmmaker based out of Tennessee, and he will probably be here. I think probably with his dad. I think his dad's probably going to hang out with us as well. We will see. So this is gonna be a lot of fun. Um, I have to I have to be honest with you guys. This has got me excited. I'm glad you guys are here. Um, yes, Katrina Bowden is in the movie. Mohr, a fine actor himself. Of course, the lovely Amanda Wyss is in it as well, and she kicked ass. All right, the doorbell's rang. I'm going to go ahead and bring people up as they come in. All right.
Hi.
Hey, Kalel, how are you?
Good, you?
Good, good. Is your dad sitting next to you tonight? I was going to say hi to him as well.
Off camera,
Yes,
yeah.
he is.
Oh, off camera. All right. That's right. Because we can't show the Bigfoot before the premiere.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So glad you guys are here. Feel free to chip in with questions. I know Kalel will have a lot of questions. Michael Caissie is one of the warmest, generous people that you'll meet. He is a very kind man. I'm proud to call him a friend. I think he's out. I think he is an outstanding screenwriter. I ran across his first movie he wrote called Hangman, which starred this. He wrote this movie, and this is the cast he got for his movie. Actually, both his movies, if you think about it. So for Hangman, Al Pacino, Carl Urban, Brittany Snow, Sarah Shahi. He wrote this. He wrote the movie for Hangman, and that's the cast they got for him. Outstanding movie too. That movie is freaky. And then he came back and he did his. He wrote and directed Hunter's Moon. Hunter's Moon also has an outstanding cast. In fact, we were just talking about it in the chat. We have Katrina Bowden, Thomas Jane, the Punisher. We had Daniel Hill, Amanda Wyss from Nightmare on Elm Street. Sean Patrick Flannery, who just got announced today that he will be back with Norman Reedus to do another a Boondock Saints movie, and that's where a lot of people know who Sean Patrick Flannery from the Boondock Saints. So again, just a Jay Mohr, a fine comedian, and this is a fun movie. Now it's funny because I got a lesson. I got a lesson from watching films from this movie. I got a lesson, and I have learned from that going forward. Not everything is as it seems to be. And when Michael gets here, he's going to go over the story with us about the movie. If you guys are coming in the chat and you guys want to know, hey Anthony, how are you? How are you? If you guys want to, you guys can grab the link up top there. I pinned the link to Tubi. Now, for us, Kalel and when Michael gets here, we can't have the sound come through can't come through. So if you want to put the closed captions on to follow the movie that way, or if you have headphones, you could do that. But we can't have the sound come out because YouTube gets grumpy.
Okay.
And yeah, they get grumpy about that. I have no idea why, but
Okay.
let me see who came in the chat. To the group there. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. You can put one headphone on one ear so you can hear the movie, and then you can have the other off. And then if you want to ask questions about the scenes and whatnot, that's probably the best way.
Do I have any? Can you get it? Yeah. Okay. Mom's gonna give me some headphones.
Film director Chadwick Whitmer is in the Facebook. Hello, Chadwick. How are you?
Yeah.
That is one thing you'll learn, Kalel, if you come and hang out with us while we do our shows, is that you will meet a lot of peers. You're going to meet a lot of directors. You're going to meet a lot of actors, a lot of screenwriters. You're going to meet a lot of people if you hang out with us.
Yeah, fun.
Chadwick actually did his first feature film this year called Malcolm, and he's been on the show as well. He did a fine job with it. Good movie.
That's cool.
Ask him when I'm watching the movie. The link was it to Tubi?
Yes, about the Tubi link to watch the movie, or what's the best process?
How do we get the movie on here?
That's easy. You can go to. I put the link in the chat. It's on Tubi.
Okay.
So yeah. So if you open up another browser, and then you can hit Tubi, and it'll come down, and then you have one browser open for the interview, and then one browser for the movie.
Okay. Tubi.
Go on your phone.
I could drop you the link.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. I'll drop it to you on Facebook here.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right. Coming right now. Okay, there you go.
All right, thank you.
Again, if you guys want to, there's a link. I'll drop another link here just for you guys. Here's the link to Tubi. This is where we're going to be watching the movie at.
Alrighty.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. To come out and have your movie, your screenplay or directing, directing some legends, and then you got a screenplay and you got Al Pacino act as your lead actor in it. I mean, it's pretty stoked. I mean, it's a pretty high praise right there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now I know Al Pacino today doesn't have as much weight as he did back in my day. But back in my day, when I was your age, Al Pacino was a major star.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He did the Godfather movies that he won an Oscar for. He's done so many. Just when he goes to IMDb, it's a who's who of great movies.
That's cool. I think, was he in House of Gucci?
I believe he was.
Yeah, I love that film. I think that's probably my favorite film of his.
Let me see what else I could tell you about him, because I think my favorite Al Pacino movie. Man, there's so many good ones.
Yeah.
Picking out an Al Pacino movie, that's a chore right there.
So you're going to play this when he starts, correct?
Yeah.
So I had a question for you.
Oh, okay.
I had a question for Kalel. If he could do any genre film, would it be besides work? Stephen Chang.
Should I answer that?
Yeah, tell him you have a question from Stephen Chang.
Somebody named Stephen Chang.
Yeah.
Okay. Ask me a question.
Oh,
Wait.
sure. Go ahead.
What was it again?
He wants to know if you could do any genre of film. What would it be besides horror? What do you want to try to do after horror movie? After Tennessee Bigfoot comes out, what kind of movie you want to do after that?
That's a good question, actually. I think I said in the last interview that if I did any comedies, it would be cheesy coming out of me. But I wouldn't mind giving it a try. Or,
Maybe comedies. Comedies have been really down the last few years. I mean, it's just been really down. I just really don't see them too much.
Oh yeah, the world needs to laugh.
Yeah. Well, I know Jennifer Lawrence did one.
Yeah.
She did one last spring, and then Glenn Powell and Sylvia Sidney did Sydney Sweeney. They also did one as well. Did really well. I think it actually did better than Jennifer Lawrence's movie, actually.
That's cool.
He was mentioning other Al Pacino movies. Yeah, Heat is amazing. Heat is absolutely amazing. Carlito's Way is a great one. I didn't really like Scarface. That's one I did not like too much. I did not like. I did like Son of a Woman. Let's see. If Kalel needed a promoter, yeah, I think he probably needs a couple of films underneath his belt first, though. But you could show him how to promote for sure. I mean, you could definitely get a lesson on how to do that. I mean, do you have a marketing program? Do you have a marketing plan in place for Bigfoot, Kalel?
I'm sorry, do I what?
Do you have a marketing plan in place for Tennessee Bigfoot?
Not yet.
We want to get it on some streaming services. So tell me Dad's working on that.
Oh yeah, we will. My daddy's working on getting him on some streaming services.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's part of it. That's part of it. You got to get it out there, and then you got to let people know it's out there.
Oh yeah. I'm excited.
I think Michael's probably going to come on dead at 9.
Alrighty. So do I just hit like?
Yeah, once he gets here, we'll talk a little bit more. We'll start the movie about 15 minutes after he gets here, and then we'll get it cracking. And
all right, cool.
yeah. Now, he's right there, Michael Caissie, dead on time.
Okay.
Patrick, can you hear me?
Greetings.
How are you?
Great.
What's up?
We are ready to go hunting today. We want to join the family.
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
That's right. So this is Michael Caissie. Michael, this is Kalel Neal.
Hi.
How you doing?
And he,
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
So Kalel's prepping up his first feature film as well. And Kalel, why don't you tell us just a real quick? Tell us a little bit about your movie.
Okay, so my movie, as we all know, it's called Tennessee Bigfoot, and it's about me going on a camping trip in the Tennessee mountains, and basically I get attacked by a Bigfoot
Nice.
while I'm camping. So yeah, thank you.
Nice.
I love it. As soon as I heard the name, Michael, as soon as I saw the name Tennessee Bigfoot, I'm like, man, I have to go talk to this kid. I have to go see what this is all about.
Thank you.
Definitely your alley. Yeah.
I definitely was hooked. And the thing what it was like afterwards, after I put the interview up that I did with Kalel, I was looking at different groups, to help promote the interview, and I typed in Tennessee Bigfoot. There are a lot of groups out there with Tennessee Bigfoot in there. I mean, I guess that is a true legend in your area.
Yeah, it's loosely based off the legend of the Tennessee Wild Man. That's kind of our inspiration for the film, because we watched a little show called Monsters and Mysteries, and it's about people telling their stories about real encounters with real monsters, and it was in Rockwood, Tennessee. One episode was, and that's like 30 miles from where I live. And I was like, the original name for the creature was the Tennessee Wildman, but we changed it to Tennessee Bigfoot so people can actually know it's about a Bigfoot, you know. And I was like, there's never been a movie on this creature. There's been movies about Yetis, actual Bigfoots, Yowies, but never the Tennessee Wildman. So,
and some people actually made the horrendous mistake of putting Wendigos in the Appalachians.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah, I don't know how that. I still don't. My mind is still blown over that. It's like, how do you get a Wendigo in North Carolina?
Who knows? It's all a mystery.
But Michael himself came up with a absolutely stone cold killer premise in Hunter's Moon.
Yeah,
put together a kick-ass cast.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And and I've been watching this movie. When me and Michael first talked about it. I've been watching this movie become more popular every year. Like around Halloween, I've seen, like, you know, I'm in a really small pocket here. It's a real tiny pocket of YouTube, but yet I see 10 or 12 or 13 people talking about the movie, and it gets more every year. And I think, you know, because it's a hard question to ascertain. It's like, when does a film achieve cult status? You know, when does it become cult status? Is that defined in Hollywood, Michael? I mean, is there like a term, studios, when they recognize that a film has gone cult status? How does the film, in your opinion, how does a film achieve that?
I mean, first and foremost, thanks for all the kind words. I think we're probably still a ways away from traditional cult status. I think because there's some big films that have that attached to it, which is wild to think that really weren't hits or well received when they first came out. And over the years, I'm thinking of things like even Fight Club, and like crazy things like that, where it's like that wasn't really well received initially. So I don't really, it's humbling to hear Hunter's Moon mentioned. I don't know if there's a definitive line or something that actually says that this is now a cult favorite or not. I have no idea. I guess that's a long-winded answer, so I'm not really sure.
We are all at Tubi. We'll be watching the movie on Tubi. We'll start in about 10 minutes or so. Let people come in.
Okay.
And we were talking a little bit about Hangman too. You wrote Hangman, and that's where that's where I first met you through your work through Hangman, and it starred just once again an ass-kicking cast. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing movie. Hangman is a fantastic movie. It's a great whodunit, suspense. Has Al Pacino kicking butt. That was really a good performance. I mean, we talked about that during our first interview, Michael and I, but that must have been really cool when you're watching the finished movie and hearing Al Pacino say the words that you wrote, and acting your story out. That's just got to be an amazing feeling. Now, when you were doing Hunter's Moon, before we start, I guess I could save that question where we start. But I wanted to ask you, when you start doing the pre-production, this is your first film. What went into pre-production for Hunter's Moon? I mean, who told you that you were going to direct it? Did you tell yourself you're going to direct it, or how did that come by where you got the nod?
Hunter's Moon's kind of an interesting story lead-up wise, because we actually had a start, a stop, a restart, and a finish, like two pre-production. The first go around, the short answer to your question is Arnold Rifkin, who's a legendary producer, was kind of a mentor of mine at the time. I mentioned to him after Hangman, or right when Hangman was coming out or something, that I'd always wanted to direct. And he had put me in touch with somebody that was kind of looking for movies in the budget range that Hunter's Moon was in. It was originally called The Orchard. The script was called The Orchard. The distributor changed it to Hunter's Moon for marketing purposes. I was and still am adamant that I do like Hunter's Moon. The name has grown on me, but I would have liked to be a little bit more of a surprise what the story's about by keeping it as The Orchard. But that I was ruled by the distributor on that. But yeah, no, we I had a couple of producing partners, Clayton Turnage and Christopher Sherman, and myself and one other producer. We got some initial funds and we started looking at locations, and Kentucky came up as the initial location. So we kind of just ran with it. At that point, the original financier that Arnold had come in with was not involved. So myself and Clay and Chris had raised some equity finance from private investors, and started to film, and then we had to stop, do a recast, and I think I want to say a year and a half went by before we were able to finish again. We did a recast. The interesting thing that happened in that time period in the middle was the cast, the family on both sides, the boys and the main family. The actors had known each other. They hung out in Kentucky. They filmed for a little while. Then they went off and they did their own thing, but they had like a year plus to stay in touch with one another. So it kind of created almost a better bond when we started back up again, because they had time to get to know one another and really kind of grow. So I was really grateful for that kind of organic benefit to that unplanned break in the middle. So yeah, I was always intending on directing it myself and producing, and obviously I wrote it. I'm just lucky to have a lot of great people come through and work on the project. I mean, I can't say enough things about the people that helped make this a finished film, because it was not easy. It was not easy. I've had a lot of bumps and bruises, and it was, I think, Patrick, I joked with you saying that it was kind of my film school. The things I learned filming that movie with all three hats, writer, director, and producer, was just such an invaluable experience moving forward. It taught me so much, and yeah, a part of me wishes I could go back and redo it, knowing what I know, and do some things differently, and we can get into that at various points of the view. But can't fix things that just kind of roll with the punches, and that's how it went. So I'm still proud of it, and but yeah, it was not an easy task to get off the ground.
I guess that's a really important thing that you just shared, especially for a young filmmaker like Kalel, to hear that coming from you, that, coming from a place where you're at, like, listen, I've done 2 Hollywood movies for 2 major studios, and I still, I have to adjust. I have to go with the bumps and bruises, and this is how I overcame it and make sure the movies got out and did well. That's good to know, because, a lot of filmmakers, a lot of experience like that might break them a little bit, might cause them to maybe give up the craft, maybe 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 I'll just become just a writer instead of taking the chance of becoming a director. There's all sorts of alternative routes that you could have took, but you stayed in the fight, and you made sure the movie came all the way through. You persevered, and that's important to know that for young filmmakers, that just because there is a massive, a studio behind you, you still got to go through it. You still got to charge through. You just can't let anything stop you. I'm going to go to the chat real quick. Our good friend Hobbs is here. Hi, Hobbs. How are you? And Stephen Calapi does 100 Moon, huh?
Stephen Calapi, yeah, he's a great producer.
And he says was and still is a favorite. Yes, by all means. We are watching the movie on Tubi. We will start the film in about 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So if you want to join us, I will drop the link down again. And by all means, you can link into it, and we'll start about 9:15 or so. All right. See, I have all these questions already, but I got to wait until the movie starts. So I do. I'm just anxious. It's like, let's go.
Right.
I took some notes because it's been a while since I've seen the movie too. I just want to make sure I have my own thoughts and the right people to thank and things like that. Just out of
Sure.
people that took to make the movie.
All right. So we did this last month. The people that are new in the chat, we did this last month, and we had director Joe Cornett, screenwriter Joe Cornett, He came on along with one of his actresses, Carrie Goodwin, and composer producer Sean Murray, and they came on last week, and we watched Gunfight at Rio Bravo. And next month on April 12th, hopefully I'll be joined by our good friend Hobbs in the chat. We will be talking and watching Rust 3 with filmmaker, screenwriter, and Joe Lujan, and he will be here on Friday the 12th at 9 p.m. He has written a lot of really cool movies. Joe Lujan is a one-man film machine. He's a one-man studio, and he will be here on the 12th, and we will be watching Rust 3. You know what? I can't wait. Let's go. All right. We are going to start the movie on Tubi. We're going to start the movie on Tubi. And just make sure that the sound is muffled where you're at, because we can't have any sound come through because YouTube is cranky that way. I don't know why, but when we start the movie, Tubi does have commercials. So when you run across a commercial, just say commercial, and then everybody will pause, and then we'll pick up once the commercials are over. Okay. If you need to, you can also put on closed captions. That will also help you too. If you need if you can't, if you have trouble with the sound. All right, here we go.
All right.
I love the cover too, Michael. They did you right with the cover, the red and the bluish. That's a really cool cover.
They absolutely did well. That is 100% Grindstone. I give them utmost respect and credit for that. They did a great job with that cover.
And Grindstone Entertainment.
Speak of the devil.
Now, which one was your banner, Michael?
I didn't put my banner in all honesty. Rooster Films was Christopher Sherman's, and Delian Production is Clayton Turnage, my two producing partners. We had so many banners at the beginning. I just kind of was like, my name's in this enough. I don't need to put it. Stoic Films is a production company that I've used the name for years. I just figured it was a little redundant to have that in there. I have enough credits in the opening credits, as you'll see. So I was more than happy to take a step back on it.
There's our main man, Mr. Boondock Saint himself.
Yeah, gonna do a third. We're gonna do a third one.
Did you hear they're gonna do it? Yeah, they're gonna do the third one.
Yeah, I was texting with Sean today, just telling him congrats. That's fantastic. I'm excited.
Now, where was the film? Where was this filmed at, Michael?
So it's gonna be bouncing between Louisville, Kentucky. Hopefully, if Daniel knows that, that's the Louisville, right? And then the other part is California, which is just outside of like the Santa Clarita area. This part is actually in an old house in Kentucky that we filmed with Sean, and that's Lexiac, and the actress and model that's playing the other role in the scene.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you can trust him. He's got those trusting eyes.
Very, very charming. I can say that.
Mm-hmm. Hop says he enjoyed this one. He picked it up at Family Video many moons ago. Definitely had fun with it. Yeah, that's where I picked up my copy of too, Josh.
You have it too, correct?
Now, was this Lexi? Now, did you do all the casting yourself, or did you team up with other producers or the casting director?
99.9% of the casting was myself.
And
just sheer luck on a lot of started with Jay Mohr was the first. Jay Mohr and Amanda Wyss were the two first casting pieces that I did.
Uh-oh. Showing his colors here. Mm-hmm.
That werewolf sound is a distorted lion's roar. Actually, is what they used for the werewolf in out in the sound mix. Buffalo 8.
I'm not surprised they had it was related to a cat. You know.
Yeah, perfect, right?
That's right.
Now this is actually an actual tiny little orchard in California, Southern California, outside of Santa Clarita. All the orchard scenes.
Now, did you need to establish him as a killer before? Like, because the family's already there. I mean, we know that now. The family's already there. Was it important not to show your hand too early as far as them coming in to save the girl? Like, because they could have did that, but they didn't. And now they're after him. I mean, whatever is after him is after him. And
Right.
was it important to not reveal too soon? That must have been a little bit tough writing that scene.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I feel like it works a little bit better and a lot of the twists in the movie I think work better in the screenplay than we were able to execute. Exactly what you're talking about. It was really hard to balance telling a story, and even some of the reviews were really kind of brutal because some of the behavior for the family members is just so weird and out there. And at the end, you understand why, but for whatever reason, a lot of reviewers were like, "Oh, their behavior makes no sense," and it's like, well, yeah, at the beginning it doesn't make any sense, but at the end it does. People back it, so I got kind of dragged for that. So I'm not really sure how I could have avoided that in all honesty, but yeah, it is what it is.
I'd like to sit there and say that I don't think I was one of those reviewers.
No, you were not. Your questions were more like who made certain choices. I remember actually when you first reached out to me, who made certain choices and things like that. And that was what our first conversation was about.
What I said, I remember saying afterwards, I got an education. This movie got me an education about filmmaking. And when we talked at our first interview, I learned a lot. Because I'm sitting here and when I watched it, I was a little bit like, I'm just going like that just there's just certain things that will come up to that I was just thinking, well, like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, and then when you explained it, it was like, oh, now it makes absolute perfect sense.
Yeah, and as we watch it today, we can get in even more details. You'll start to understand. Like I always joke that a film that's released doesn't get an asterisk next to it where you can explain to everybody what went wrong or how you had to pivot and do certain things. This is kind of my opportunity to do that, I guess, a little bit and say like this is why like that.
Sure.
This is why this happened. So yeah, this is Southern California. All this part.
Yeah, there it is. Written and directed by Michael Caissie.
Yeah.
Right.
This is California as well. That sign is a homage to werewolves. It goes by pretty quick, but
I think what I really liked about your cast, the one that really surprised me the most about it, was Jay Mohr, because I had, everything I've ever seen Jay do has always been comedy. This is the first time I've ever seen him step out of that.
Yeah. He actually came on as a producer as well, so he helped out quite a bit, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and he was just a good friend, and I really was blessed to have him be a part of the film and be a
Katrina Bowden is gorgeous.
Yeah, she's such a professional. She came in, she really killed it. I was just, no pun intended. She was a lot of fun to work with. I'm really hoping to work with her again on something soon. That would be great.
And of
Will
course,
there ever be I'm sorry.
That's funny.
Would there ever be a sequel for this movie in the works? Did you have any ideas for one?
I had a couple ideas actually. I just don't know, honestly, like from a business perspective, I don't know who has the rights. If it's Grindstone and Lionsgate, do I have the ability to just write it and go somewhere else?
Okay.
You know, I think if the film was a little bit more. Here comes my cat. Whoa, right past the screen. You missed it, Patrick. One of my cats walked by the screen.
Oh.
He's up here eating now. It's the giant.
Oh, there you
go.
Stealing scene.
Yeah, he's got to get. No, to answer your question, I kind of had an idea to another film that I had written called Sin Origin was in a similar vein in the sense that it was a movie about vampires that wasn't really about vampires. And I always had this idea. And there's the other cat. Come on, go. My idea was to have the survivors from that vampire movie and this one get together in a post-apocalyptic kind of zombie world and have them be the good guys fighting the zombies and with humor mixed in. So I don't know, it's kind of out there. But yeah, the idea of making a sequel always would have been fun. Some of the cast has talked to me about it. It could be something down the road. I honestly don't know. Mainly if there's the market for it, if we could get it financed. Right now, getting things financed seems to be the hardest thing in the industry. So it's been kind of tough with any project. So,
Yeah.
but I would love to relive it. I love the characters. I love the world. So that part excites me. To answer your question, would I like to? Absolutely. Will I be able to, or will I? I don't know.
Okay. Well, thank you.
No worries. And this is Anthony. He's an Australian actor that actually flew out from Australia, put himself up just to play that part, and did such a great, fantastic job as the store clerk. It seems like a small part, but he just really put so much effort into it. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Of course, I have to always do this. I have to just absolutely thank you so much for not only casting Amanda Wyss, but making her a co-star, because so many of these actors like Amanda and whatnot, they get called to do all these independent films, and they get like one scene, and just for the box, and it's just it just kills me when they do that. I love the fact that she was in here and she's co-starring and she's kicking ass.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a nice reminder.
100%. She's another one that's just when she read the script and she was like, I'm in. I was just so excited. Just mainly because, Nightmare on Elm Street was always such a huge influence, even in the horror world, for me to even become a filmmaker and as a writer. So to have her be a part of it, and she's such an extraordinary actress. I think she's underutilized, and I think more people should cast her in anything, because she was nothing but fantastic. I can't go on and on about saying great things about her, but she was great. And her and Jay's chemistry was fantastic too. That was really. Patrick, we have an ad coming in right now.
Okay, go ahead and pause. We'll pause. Oh, yep, me too. I got one too. Okay. Go ahead, everybody. Pause your movie, and we will let you know when we're out. Yeah, that's one thing about Tubi. Tubi doesn't do a lot of commercials. A lot of times it's just one commercial, and then it's
Okay, we're back on this end. And I agree with you. They do great. And towards the end of the movie, they don't do any commercials, which I appreciate.
I'm still on commercial right now. Hopefully it'll be the last one.
Yeah. All right, let me pause here.
Okay, we are back. Now, is this house still in Kentucky, or this is California?
So the front of the house that you're seeing right now is in California. Anything on the sides or the back of the house that you'll see in future scenes was Kentucky. So we meshed the two worlds. I think there's one scene at the front of the house in Kentucky when the boys are in the car later, but everything else, this is all California. This part. So the front of that house is in California.
I was just wondering when they said, watch out for this one's a little heavy. I was trying to think of in what context are we talking about? Like, is that like a 200-pound box there? Because after all, she is a werewolf.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't remember if that was in the script or if that was just improv, because the women were improving.
What was the inspiration for this movie?
I think at the end of the day, it was two things for me. I grew up always liking horror, like Stephen King, classic horrors, things like that. And I wanted to kind of pay homage to that world, just classic horror in general, and just kind of put a different spin on it. So I think that was the initial thing. Same thing with the vampire one I was telling you about called Sin Origin. Take something that's familiar and then just kind of spin on it. And the other part is, it's at its core, it's a female empowerment movie, which I think I grew up around strong women, raised by strong women, raising a daughter. So I think that part was really appealing to me too. So I wanted to kind of really lean into that. But honestly, I barely remember writing this movie, and it's a really weird thing to say because I quit a restaurant job, and I just put all of the time that I was working in the restaurant, like 90 hours a week, into writing and just cranking out screenplays and just, chain smoking. Not that I'm condoning cigarette smoking. Don't do that. But I was. That and a ton of coffee and then whiskey at night. And I think out of that, I might have written 6, 7, 8 screenplays, one after the other. After that, and this was one of them. This might have been the first one, or it was either the first or the second one. So kind of being in the zone, I think that was where I was at. So the process of writing it kind of happened relatively quick. I don't really remember bits and pieces of it.
That's cool.
Gabrielle Arbencho, Archambault just now walked through the door.
Gabby, our friend Gabby. Hey, Gabby.
That's right. She's incredibly talented and beautiful too.
Yeah, she has become like one of my best friends. I don't know what I would do without Gabby in my life. No hyperbole.
She's a really terrific person.
I agree.
So whiskey and nicotine are not a good combination when it comes down to writing scripts.
No, they're a great combination. They're just not a great combination for one's health, I guess is what I should say.
Oh, right.
As a father, I have to think of these things as my kids get older and start watching things. Dad said cigarettes and whiskey are a good idea. No. But they for writing, it's an absolutely part of it is the romanticizing of the writer of years past, but it does seem to work for whatever reason. And this is the great David LaBrava, who I was really fortunate to get in this movie as well.
How does whiskey help with the writing process? Like, does it just help you not overthink it, or?
Yeah, I think for me, it's like a balance. Like this, at the time, I haven't smoked cigarettes in years, but the nicotine and the caffeine, it's like the go, and the whiskey kind of balances it out a little bit. So it's, again, part of it is romanticizing a bad vice. I wouldn't recommend it. If people can write, by all means, just do it. Now I still do a ton of caffeine. I'm guilty of that. But the other two I've toned down significantly since I've become a father. And cigarettes I don't even touch anymore.
Okay.
But I think it's just kind of almost like a relaxing. Don't overthink things. Be a little bit more organic and.
I notice when I write stories, and I don't drink. I'm only 19, but I write better when I'm in my best mood. Like when I'm happier, that's when. If you're stressed, it just kind of clogs your mind.
Stress in general, across the board, I 100% agree with you. Anything that you get out of that stress, because the world goes like this, like life in general. Just trying to be creative in any platform, any media. It's hard if things are weighing on you. So
we should point out that Daniel Hill has made his first appearance.
Daniel Hill, all right. I did text him earlier. How you doing, brother?
I love Daniel. Daniel's he is I see him. I actually see him getting tenure somewhere as some teaching, at college or university teaching acting. He's
getting in one of these like little indie darlings and then winning an Academy Award. That's what I see. Like just all of a sudden, just because he's that great of an actor, and it's just going to take that one role where he just is able to just explode. It doesn't talk in this movie, but yeah, I get to work with him a second time, fairly recent, and he's a great friend and great dude. I'm pulling for him every day.
Me too.
So this is a bar in Glendale or Burbank, California. I can't remember. Small little bar that changed owners since we filmed there.
I love that. I love that house. Now, who found the house? Did you have a location scout find that house for you?
One of my producing my producing partner Clayton Turnage actually was able to find the house, or it was either Clay or I can't remember. There's like I think it's Gigster or one of these websites. The owners of the house are fantastic people. They were there while we were filming, and just really cool people. After we'd have coffee with them before and after, and just they would watch us film, and just really sweet people. We were fortunate to find, and also they were there for like the love of the movie, so they were very generous in terms of renting prices and things like that. I was fortunate because prices for locations are really hard in California in general. So we really lucked. Again, so many people it took to make this movie. We're really fortunate in a lot of places.
Now, how do you decide about the camera angles? How do you do that? Do you put like you put marks on the floor for your actors to stand on when they do their scenes, or do you allow them a little bit of movement?
Depends on the shot. This whole scene in general was filmed really quickly. We were running out of time, and so you can see that there's not a lot of close-ups. I think we shot most of that in a 3-shot, and then a single of the other guy there. And part of it was timing. I mean, we had to do the bulk of this movie. Anything we did in California was done over 8 days, which should have been more like 13 days, 14 days. So everything was really quick. So like this example right here, this is just one shot. The camera's on a slider that's going from left to right to get all the dialogue. This was done, it's a stylistic choice, but it was more done out of necessity. Like we just did not have time with all those people sitting there to do coverage for each one of them. We just didn't have the time to do it. That's one of those things I was telling you, like if I could go back and redo things, have more time, have a little bit more money, whatever would have taken to do that, that would be something I would change. But you can't, I mean, if you're watching this and you don't really focus on that, I mean, I notice it because those are things that I didn't want to necessarily do, but had to do. And I'm sure some people in the industry will notice it, but by and large, we picked our spots. There's a few of those I can point them out, and but this is stock footage. I did not shoot that cool upward tree shot, whatever that is there. I needed some kind of transition shot.
I actually had the same question about the camera angles. So
yeah,
I got a commercial.
Okay.
Do it. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
Pause.
But like I've noticed, and I don't know why I noticed this, but like a few years ago when we were watching a bunch of movies, I noticed how I started seeing movies like through a camera angle and not like the reality. Like I started seeing the process of the movie and not the reality like everybody sees. I'm like, oh, they filmed this part from this angle, they filmed this from this angle, and I was like, so that's kind of why I had that,
That
question. Yeah.
It's a valid question. Yeah, I think the stuff in Kentucky. I had 2 DPs on this project. The first one, Ed Lucas, and I did. We didn't storyboard, but we did.
Okay, my ads are gone. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Let's see. So I'm hitting play now.
Yeah, I'm at 2041.
2040. Perfect. Right around the same spot. That's the front of the Kentucky house that the boys are outside of right there in that car. I forgot what we were saying. Yeah, so we did shots. We did like shot list. Anything that was shot in Kentucky, we knew the shots that we were going to do ahead of time. In California, with Ben covering the other DP, we did as well with like some pictures and some. Each of the DP had a different kind of way of doing it, but we kind of knew what we were going to do with each shot going in, and then we just again had to pivot depending on time. If we didn't have enough time to do what we wanted to do, we had to improvise on the fly, which is probably the most important thing I think in filmmaking, is just being able to just think on your feet and just adapt. This is, again, we're inside the house of Kentucky here.
Yeah,
One,
that's
on the
really
other-
cool.
You can tell where we shoot if Jay is in the scene because Jay with no hat on is Kentucky, and then Jay shaved his head before we finished in California, so he's wearing a hat for the rest of the shoot. Anything that's
Oh wow.
yeah, so he told me he hates that hat. At the end of the shoot, he was over the hat, but it was the only way I could hide. All of a sudden, he had a shaved head that didn't wouldn't have matched. So
I
luckily,
love
thankfully,
behind the scenes stories
yeah.
like that. It's cool.
we lucked out because we had a lot of good girls in this too. If they'd cut their hair short, or actually, Will Carlson, who plays Billy, he did cut his hair relatively short, and we had to get anything that's filmed in California with Will. He had it's not a wig, but it's like kind of like extensions or something that they had to put in his hair to kind of try and match his hair in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like I said, everything kind of happened when we were able to finish in California. We didn't have a lot of notice to give everybody. Like Jay didn't have time to grow his hair back, and neither did Will. So we had to again improvise. And so the hat thing, I think there's a wolf or something on the hat that Thomas has. I have
All
the hat.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amanda's so cute. She's
Now we're
so,
back
so
to
cute.
yeah. I love her. And this is outside that house in Kentucky. This was
Now, have you Kalel, have you seen the first Nightmare on Elm Street yet?
Oh yeah, I've seen all of those. So when
Okay.
they all cut their hair, did they think you were done filming the movie?
yeah, because so much time had gone by. And they'd done all the
Yeah.
process. They had life. If you got to figure, it might have been almost 2 years. I think it was like a year and a half, somewhere in that range. So also just people change their hair,
Oh yeah.
that kind of stuff. But yeah, in bigger studio movies and things like that, if it's a TV show, they have they contractually they can't cut their hair, but we don't. I don't have that kind of pull, and we didn't have those kind of contracts.
Okay, cool.
Cheryl Dobbins says hello.
So
Glad you're here. Glad you're here.
that's India Nenga, extraordinary actress, and then that's Emily Parker plays the youngest daughter. She's actually I think she lived in Indiana, but she was a local hire in Kentucky. But I think I told you, Patrick, that Sydney Sweeney was supposed to play her role at one point, and we couldn't. Pre-Sydney Sweeney, prior to her being who she is now, but we couldn't.
Yeah, but you spotted her. That still counts.
She worked with Amanda, and Amanda recommended her, and she read the script, and she was like, "I want to do this." There was a 2-day difference in her schedule that we just couldn't fix, couldn't get around it. She was going to play the youngest daughter, and now she is huge. And,
yeah, she's a megastar.
Yeah. And this is a really weird, creepy barn that was attached to the house in Kentucky.
Oh, really? That is interesting. So they had their own bar outside the house.
A barn, not a bar. Barn.
Oh, barn. Okay.
Yeah.
Did they have working animals at the in the barn, or was no animals?
Not in the barn, but there was horses and I think it was horses and some other things that were outside. We shot a lot of stuff on the property. There's stuff that an original trailer that we had cut that didn't make it into the movie, mainly because of the recast that I was sad about because there's a lot of some cool shots. Later on, when Spencer Daniels' character is getting the gasoline to use, there was a scene where he was actually siphoning the gasoline in the barn that I couldn't use because the recasted actor who played the sheriff initially ends up bumping into him at the end of the scene. I couldn't cut the two of them together with Thomas, the new sheriff, so it just didn't work. It was sad to lose that, but it's the only way we could make it work. Now this is the inside of the LA house. This room. So Daniel is going into a door in Kentucky and coming into a house in California.
That's got to be really surreal. That's got to be really surreal to do that.
movie magic. Now, meanwhile, that's Will on the outside at the Kentucky house. So trying the windows. So the two boys that are outside are in Kentucky, and Daniel, who's inside with the girls, that's all in California.
Now, this is one of the things that came up. When we talked to Daniel too, he mentioned this as well. Now, his character can't speak, but we never found out. And you mentioned that there was a backstory to that, but they couldn't get it in the movie.
Yeah, the idea was he was going to have his tongue was going to be cut out, and there's a scene later in the movie where that was going to be revealed, and this was part of the learning experience for me, having worked with a lot of practical effects after this movie, and during too. But I didn't think to use a practical tongue, like a fake tongue that was cut in half, and so we were trying to just do it all in post with visual effects, and have this half tongue come out, and it just looked like an alien. It just looked phallic. It just looked ridiculous. And I know Daniel was upset about it, and I understand it. But I was like, if we put in what they were trying to show me as can we use this? He would have been more upset because it looked like it looked like an alien was trying to come out of him, or just again it looked very phallic. And I was just like, I can't, in good faith, put this in the movie. So we're just gonna have to cut that out. But knowing again, if I go back now, I would get a prosthetic tongue that's cut in half, put that in there, and then get an accent that in VFX with post. But at the time, everything's going 100 miles a minute, and we just didn't know enough to do that.
This is so cool how the family just drawing them in. It's like you think that they're in danger, and and then all of a sudden it's like cat and mouse, but you don't the cat thinks he's the cat when he's really the mouse.
Right. Yeah. Definitely like that aspect of the story.
Yeah.
Now, what time of night were you filming this? It's all dark. So, was this the middle of the night at twilight?
No, you would have on nights like this. This was in Kentucky. We would have started probably our setup for the day right before sun was going down. You want to kind of get set up within an hour, so figure like an hour before sundown, and then it gives you the time until sunrise. So that's how you map it out, depending on the time of year. That would be from sundown to sunrise. There's a scene later. I'll tell you when we get there, where we were chasing the light. Basically, the sun was coming up, and we had seen this happen twice actually. There's two scenes in here where, it was way lighter than we wanted it to be. And in post, they were able to help us out a little bit, but it got very stressful. I think the last day of shooting actually was one of the days to finish. We knew we had to get the last of it out, and we had to get outside after we were shooting. Basically, that we shot this. When the fire starts, we shot the inside stuff, and then the aftermath we were shooting right afterwards, and we were running out of time. So crazy.
Yeah,
How did you do the? Sorry, you can go first.
No, go ahead, Kalel.
Okay, how did you do the fire effects, if you don't mind me asking?
That was all post, because we were in the house in LA, so we do light the match, and then we had her drop it. I think there was a bucket underneath, so we were catching the match, and then there's a stock footage shot that we paid for of match hitting the ground that ignites like that, and so I think we paid for that. And then the exterior, we did it all. The special effects people in post just added all the fire on the outside of the building, so that was there was no one in any jeopardy of getting hurt at that point, which is good. We couldn't burn down this.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I was like,
we had a house in California, and then the one in Kentucky was I feel like it was a historical house, so neither one was getting any kind of burn treatments whatsoever. In fact, there's a broken window that happens later in the movie. If you guys remember, we used some fake broken glass shards in the windowsill after the fact, and the homeowner was like, "You broke my window," and he was kind of shocked. And we're like, "No, the window is up. This is just fake broken shards that are still that we.
Oh wow.
But it looked real to him. He was like, broke my window. He was like kind of upset, kind of not. It was kind of funny. But
Yeah.
He told him it was Hollywood magic.
yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
It must have been sugar glass. So I think he probably could have even eaten it if he wanted to. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm new to Katrina. Her work. I got some of. I know she was on Community, and I remember her from there. And then I also have a movie that she did for Lifetime. It was based off a Stephen King story called Monolith. I have that as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
She did a movie
Monolith looks really freaky.
She does some good stuff. She did a movie called, I want to say it's Great White, with Tatiana, who was in Purgatory, the Armenian TV show behind me. The two of them were in that movie together. I knew her first from 30 Rock and Dale and Tucker Must Die. Is it Dale and Tucker and I forget the name of the movie.
Did she do that one?
Yeah, she's in Dale and Tucker. Is it Dale and Tucker? Something. Dale and Tucker.
Yeah, Dale and Tucker versus Evil. Oh, I didn't know that.
She's in that, yeah.
I think I'm guilty of that because I think I was too busy trying to spot Shelley Simmons, but that's just me. Oh, she's one of my favorite screen queens. But I think she's semi-retired. I hear. Yeah, we're going to be covering for the ISC show next month. In April, we're covering Rust Creek. So we'll look at Daniel's. Really, that movie was just another really good movie.
It was fantastic. Yeah, I went to the premiere out here that Daniel had. And Micah he plays the brother in that too. I did a TV show Nova Vita with Micah a couple years back too. So I knew both of them when we went to the premiere. Great movie.
I don't know what happened to Jen McGowan. She just dropped off the planet. Who directed that? Has that happened? Have you noticed that? Have you known anybody who's done a movie, maybe one or two movies, and just dropped out? I mean, just like, what causes burnout for a director? What's the main cause? Do you feel? What was the one part that you just felt so like, damn, this is really rough that you had to overcome?
I'm not even sure it's the actual directing. It's just getting projects off the ground, I think, is the most exhausting. I mean, there's been some successful directors, even in the studio system, that just don't get opportunities for whatever reason. So I think the burnout is just the ramp up and, you're excited about a project and you're trying to get financing and you get casting and then one thing falls apart or the independent film world in particular, I think has just been really hit hard over the years. I think that can be exhausting. I think the business side of things is probably, for me at least, is the most exhausting of everything that the whole filmmaking process in general. It's the thing I prefer for sure.
Steven says that he met Kyle Levine, Tyler's brother. He was in Freddy vs. Jason. That's right. Tyler was in the Tucker and Dale. Yeah, that guy lost a human.
Really?
Yeah, he lost a human. He was he was a big guy, but he lost like half his body weight. He looked awesome.
Yeah.
What would your advice be for an upcoming director like me?
I think the main thing is there's a couple things. I mean, you have to know the material better than everybody else. That's the first thing. I'm stealing that from Tarantino, but that's the first and foremost thing. And I think knowing what you want, what your vision is, but also being open to the collaborative process and listening to others, but also knowing at the end of the day, it's your word is the final word. So it is a collaborative process, but knowing what your vision is going in and then being able to listen to that. And then the biggest thing, like we talked about earlier, is just being able to pivot and just, you're going to have things go left, right, wrong, upside down. It's inevitable no matter how much planning you put into things. And so just being able to adapt and roll with the punches is probably the best advice that I think anybody can in the filmmaking process as a whole. So, and also being able to hold that vision, but also knowing that it's going to change no matter how much you want to do it. And the hope is that it changes for the better. And sometimes it does. Even with the things that go wrong, you'll get these little organic blessings, if you will. But then there's going to be things, like the Daniel Hill thing. It was heartbreaking for him. It was just incredibly heartbreaking and frustrating for me. And having to know that that's just going to happen. And it's not being lazy and just lackadaisical. That's not what I'm saying. But just know that you can't control everything. And it's, what's that adage of control what you can control and just let the rest kind of roll off your back. And that's the best advice for a filmmaker that I could give to anybody at any level.
All right, I like that. Thank you.
Got it. Oh, here's the Daniel tongue. How are we gonna here? I can't remember if it comes here or not.
It's so cool watching this movie, knowing that all the girls you watch them like, oh my god, those poor girls, and at the same time, of a drop of a hat, it's the other way around. It's so interesting knowing that. It makes it upon repeat viewing, it really intensifies the movie because you do sort of know what's going to happen, but it makes it's not one of those, okay, I know what's going to happen on my commercial here, but it, and it just adds to the tension to it. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm at an ad. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That is.
Okay, Bowden.
No, I'm at a commercial right now.
Okay.
I mean, that was kind of my hope. Is, if people, I thought it would have a repeat viewing kind of thing, so people could see things that they missed, or it does add up. I think we did a nice job, hopefully, of putting all the pieces together and seeing that if you watch it a second, third time, whatever, that things make sense, or that you see them differently after the initial viewing. I mean, that was kind of the goal. Again, like we talked about earlier, it works. It doesn't work with some spots, but that's just me nitpicking. You're also, as a filmmaker, you're going to always be your worst critic. So, I mean,
yeah, I already kind of am.
I was gonna say that's the other advice I can give you is don't read reviews.
Yeah.
Well, I just tell people, quite honestly, it's like reviews are just, reviews are like buttholes. Everybody has one, right? So don't put too much credit into it. I mean, I've had, I try to, as a, someone who's a self-styled or self-taught film critic, I've had directors not happy, but I don't actually go out there and just, there's probably just maybe one or two directors. And I probably do that because it's more of a personal thing, I feel, more than just a moviegoer thing. So it probably comes out a little bit more harshly. But most people, I always look for something great in a movie. There's always going to be something interesting in any movie that you watch,
100%.
whether it be an actor, a location, a plot. It may not all add up, but there's something there to spot and to highlight. I think this is Thomas.
Are you back on?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, what is the time on the movie for you guys?
I'm at 38. I'm at 39 minutes.
Okay. I'm at 38 and a half. Okay. 39 minutes. Okay. We're good. Thank you.
Okay.
What advice would you give me to make a horror movie as scary as possible?
One of the things I learned in filming this movie, was because of time again, the build up, the suspense aspect is something that I think is overlooked in shots. I mean, the empty frames, the slow pan, and the scare things, if you will. Like I wish we had more of those. that would be something to, when you're putting your shots together, or when the day of filming is just, put yourself in the audience's shoes, and what's scary. I mean, we're out in that orchard, for example, it's pitch dark. We have all this smoke going everywhere and stuff like that. It's like, but everything was so fast, and I would have loved to have more of a POV of that kind of stuff. It's in there, but that's one of the things I noticed, and it got to the place. And transitions is another one. That's why I made a point that there was an upward shot of like these through the trees and stuff like that. When we put the film together, I realized that it was just so there was nothing that let it kind of breathe, I think. And on the page, you don't see that. So when you're filming, so I just think I have another movie that's supposed to film later this year called Mercy Good. When I wrote that script, I literally went into, I'm not directing it, I just wrote it, but I thought of everything that's ever scared the crap out of me in a movie, every shot, every kind of thing. And I was like, how do I infuse this into the story? And a lot of it, if you think about it, going back to, even back to the original horror movies back in the day, it's before the actual scary part. It's the buildup, it's the suspense, it's the why you're on the edge of your seat. So focus on that as much as the other pieces. I think that'll help build your world, I guess, if that helps you out at all.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
You got it.
Now here's Thomas Jane. Looks interesting. His hair, I've never seen his hair look like that before. It looks very interesting. It sort of covers up his face a little bit, the style of hair he has there.
I thought of that. One of the things I learned from shooting with Thomas was we were going so fast that he was actually, I saw it, I kind of figured out what he was doing the first day of filming. He was creating his own edit, if you will. So instead of putting him in a box and telling him he has to stand in one spot, he would turn and he would do all these things. So he was forcing us to get coverage from all these sides, not to be an ass, but just because he knew from experience. And I noticed this with any actor. I mean, he had that whole TV show that was, I think it was on HBO, called Hung for years. A lot of actors that have been the leads in these TV shows, like I filmed with Dean Norris, it was the same thing. They really understand the whole process of, I think, from the beginning to the edit, so little movements, things like that. I was just seeing him basically put together this performance with the physicality of it, and turning and making these movements. And it was, at the time, driving us nuts, because we're like, oh crap, now we have to get this angle because he's turned around during this word. But then when we were putting the movie together, I was like, oh, yep, he's basically ensuring that we're getting the coverage and making his cut interesting and not stagnant. And so I think that's, I was appreciative of that. He was a very gracious actor during and since. We text every once in a while. Just a really great guy.
Yeah. You mentioned you work with Dean Norris. That guy is really underrated.
100%. I think, I don't know if I told you, Patrick, I wasn't directing, but I was on set, and I wasn't directing that part anyways. He shot 40 pages, Norris, 2 days, 20 pages a day, just his coverage, nobody else's. And he asked for a line once, and he apologized for asking for a line. And I was like, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I had to tell him, like, you just shot 40 pages, you asked for one line. Like, he couldn't remember one line in the middle of that. Just a professional. But again, it was like these little, he would do like a little subtle head movement, and it just made the shot. I mean, I was just like, wow, this is fantastic. Just these little things that these guys just understand that I appreciate seeing and learning from people like that.
I didn't watch Breaking Bad, so I missed him on doing that. But the movie that I remember him from, after I watched it, then I started seeing him coming up on other projects. Was he did a movie called Remember? Man, that movie is bonkers, lights out bonkers. He did it with Christopher Plummer and Martin Landau.
Oh, I've never seen it.
There's Daniel again.
He's running for his life.
Besides Hunter's Moon, what is your favorite werewolf movie?
Good question.
Ooh, that's a
Thank you.
good question.
There's a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah.
I mean, American Werewolf is like, that seems to be a go-to for a lot of people. That's up there for sure. sure. There's
Heck yeah.
you know, I saw one that was like a lower budget one that I really appreciated. I think it's a British or UK one. It's called Howl, HOWL.
Right.
Yes, that's a
Placed on
good
a
one.
train. It was really
Yeah.
good. Thought they
That is a good one.
Yeah, I appreciated what they were able to do again with not a lot of like, it wasn't the full transformation kind of thing. It was more about the story, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's got to be American Werewolf. I mean, Silver Bullet has, personally
yeah.
I love that, but I don't think it quite holds up. I mean, I'm just a fan of the Werewolf in general. I think it's cool. I mean, there's like, is it Snap? What is it? Something Snap? Ginger Snaps? Is it Ginger Snap?
Oh, yeah, that's another great one.
That's a cool one. It's like I think it's called Ginger Snaps. That one, I appreciate that one too. There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, there is. I think my favorite, probably American Werewolf, but like you said, that Howl's pretty good. It's one of those things. It's like I can't come up with a lot right in the top of my mind right now. But
You asked the
American
question.
Werewolf is pretty good.
That's a good question, though. You put me on the spot. No.
Yeah. We've actually met the two people that were in American Werewolf in London, David Naughton and Griffin Dunn.
My friend
The two
Michelle
people going
mentions,
on
my friend Michelle mentions that Teeth was pretty good.
the
Teeth.
Was that werewolf related?
I think that was the one with the girl. I don't know if that was a werewolf one. It's an interesting movie. If that's the one I'm thinking about, could be another one.
I've never seen that one. I need to check that out.
But I like turn the tables on I like that theme of turning the tables. Like, here you go. You think all these men are on have the upper hand, and they don't. Man, I sort of like that. I just dig that. There's a movie called Even Lambs Have Teeth. Man, that was really good too.
Oh. There's a scene coming up here with I think it's an owl. It's such a hard. It was another one of the special effects after and post that I was like going back and forth with the guy who did a great job, but I was like, he was doing different birds, and I was just like, I think the owl is the way to go, because the big wingspan and stuff. So that owl's not really there, but it turned out good. I was appreciative of it.
So in the beginning of the movie, I know that with that guy running, and he's burying that girl. How did you do the effects with the werewolf running in front of the camera?
In the beginning, we just had all of the orchard stuff. I think it was shot over 2 days or 2 nights. Sorry, and the DP in California, Ben Cuffrin, he called in a favor for a guy that was a Steadicam operator, like a really high end guy that works on like Mission Impossible movies and stuff like that. So he has the rig on him that it's the camera can go up and down, and he can run with it, and it has kind of a smooth. So any of the POV chasing stuff is basically this guy running after these actors. I think we might have, honestly, I think we put him in a golf cart. Chase stuff too, because there was golf carts on this property. So we had him sitting in a golf cart chasing after these people with the camera. That was something that we used as well.
That's smart.
Yeah, that is smart, because it gives you that. It does give you that sense of someone running.
Yeah, there's all kinds of rigs that basically like hook up, and the person wears it, and it's a whole skill set in itself. But I think the Steadicam up can go up and down, and it does. A lot of the cooler shots of Thomas with the flashlight and the orchard are shot really low, and that's just the rig is, the guy is holding the camera and he's right in front of Thomas, but the camera itself is really low to the ground, pointing up, and it gives that really kind of cool, powerful, authoritarian shot of Thomas shot from the bottom with the rig. This was an interesting scene because we shot this scene with Thomas and the girls and the boys coming out of the house. We shot this twice. We shot it originally in Kentucky with the original sheriff, and then we shot it again here. So I was again grateful for the original shooting because there's just so much going on in the scene and so much blocking and movement, and again, time was an issue. So you'll see like we try and keep a 3 shot when it's on the girls over Thomas's shoulder, And then when the boys come out, we kind of have I think it's another steady cam shot just from the side. So we were limited in terms of movement and trying to keep pieces of each of the actors. And then the punch was, I'm not a, see, that's one of my favorite shots when the boys come through the doorway. But the punch thing was concerning because we didn't, again, have a lot of time. And the last thing I want ever to happen on set is for someone to get hurt. So it's one of the things I look at it. It looks a little on the fake side, but Thomas didn't have to punch someone in the face for real, so I was appreciative of that. This was a scene where he was really, if you watch Thomas in the scene, he is turning and twisting and moving.
Yeah. He's just, you think they're going to be surprising them with the twist, and it's just like, they never played chess before because they already should know they're already 5 moves behind. It's just really. Have you revisited this family? Have you typed in any short stories or any other stories since this movie?
No, that's what Clay was asking. I feel like there's more. I think Amanda was talking to me at one point about it. I think there's a story to be told. I mean, even whether it's like you said, short story or graphic novel, or I don't do graphic novels, but that would be a world where I could see it continuing. Or there's still a part of me that would love to do a part 2. I mean, I think there is.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to see a sequel to this so bad.
Oh yeah, that would be fun. So back to the scene, the beginning of the scene. I have another question. So you said there was a golf cart. You filmed it on a golf cart?
Yeah.
Okay. So was it loud? Was the golf cart loud?
Yeah, how do you get rid of the sound of a car or like that? I mean, how do you get it out of the movie? How do you edit it out or remove the sound from it?
There's really no dialogue when they're being chased other than like heavy breathing, and I think there is some dialogue. And so we Buffalo 8, which is part of a company named Bonded that helped us put the rest of the financing together to finish the movie. They have Buffalo 8 is a post house. They did ADR sessions with the actors. So some of it, there's a whole group of people that do sound mix and sound design. So I even said to the sound designers, if I wasn't a writer, director, producer, I find it such a fascinating job because they're the ones that are making, they're stepping on like watermelons, for example, to have like the sound of a head crushing. Or I'm just using these as examples, but like they do all these kind of cool things to make these sounds that you see in these movies and these TV shows. So I think they just pull out all of the car noise, put in background noise, and then just have the actors, any kind of heavy breathing, they would just have the actor come in and say, okay, watch the footage, and then they're going with the microphone, and then they just put that in there. So that's all done in post, and you want to limit the amount of post to have to do that. But technology's gotten to a place now where, like India, for example, who plays the middle daughter, lives in New York, and she did all of her ADR either on an iPhone or an iPad, because there's a couple of apps where you can do ADR work remotely and then just send it in, and it stands up to the quality. So that was that. This is the scene with Emily here was one of the scenes I was telling you about earlier, where the sun is just about to come up, and that's why I'm about to go to a commercial break here too, guys. I have a commercial right now.
I'm on commercial too.
Okay.
But Emily, when she falls and she starts to hyperventilate, and we learn later that she's turning into a werewolf, but at the time the sun was about to come up, and that's why the background has a very bluish feel to it instead of a dark black, because that's the sun coming up, and we were able to darken it a little bit in post. But the effect of her kind of hyperventilating was something that the DP in LA, Ben, came up with. It's a kind of a special thing that went on the front of the camera, and you just basically turn it like a nozzle, and it kind of bends and distorts almost. I think it might even be called a fisheye. It kind of gives that kind of, I'm back. Are you guys back already or no?
Almost. Yeah, we're back.
I'm not yet.
I'm at 53. I'm pausing it still. I'm at 53:31 when we come back. I don't know where.
That's where I'm at. Are you back, Kalel?
Yes, I'm at 53:23.
Okay, so you're about 10 seconds behind us.
All right. I think if you hit Kalel, if you go forward, and then now Patrick, if you and I hit play now, I think we should be good.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm good.
All
Okay.
This is a small little motel in, I think, Glendale, California, that we filmed at, and it was. I filmed there twice now. That the people in the room next to us were getting evicted.
Oh,
while we were filming.
oh,
We filmed this during the day too, which is why the windows are all blacked out. But
there's the hat again.
there's the hat.
Now, sometimes during a shoot, a movie shoot, sometimes you get looky-loos, coming to look at what's going on. Did anybody recognize Amanda, and what kind of reaction did she get?
We didn't. I think the owners of the house figured out who she was at one point. I didn't get that with Amanda, but it's funny, when we were filming in Kentucky, we were in line. Either the first or second night of filming, we were in line getting lunch. In the middle of the night, we were shooting overnight, and two of the grips behind me were like, that actor looks like that comedian Jay Mohr. He was in front of us getting on. And I turned around, I was like, that's because that is the comedian Jay Mohr. And they're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So it's just kind of fun. Yeah, so this is the scene I was telling you about in the barn. We shot the DP Ed in Kentucky had another rig and comes racing up to the barn as the werewolf's point of view, but it doesn't make the cut here because the rest of the scene, the brother backs up and bumps into the sheriff, and there was a whole other dialogue that we shot in Kentucky. We couldn't match the barn here in LA, so we had to lose that aspect of it. I just missed that POV of the werewolf kind of running full speed. It was kind of a cool shot, but you know how to cut the two of them together.
So when you're watching this movie, do you see the process of making the movie, or do you see the reality in the characters? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like maybe it's just because even a lot of people thought we never were going to finish the movie, especially when we took the break in the middle. So I just have this is such an endearing movie to me, just the ability for us to finish. So I see all of the things that I would have liked to have done different, or little things here and there. But I remember when the reviews were coming in and there were a lot of negative reviews. I've watched this movie I definitely watched it more than anybody on the planet for sure, but throughout the process, but I don't see the hate. I don't understand it. I mean, there were people that were like,
I don't understand that either. It's the idea. The idea is, people always talk about too. You hear fans always saying, "Oh, there's no original stories. There's no original stories." You know what? There are original stories if you just look. You give a movie like this a run. I mean, this is a fantastic premise. I love this story so much. To do what you did with the normal. It's just amazing to me.
There's that broken window. Thank you, Patrick, by the way. There's that broken window I was telling you about. So we actually filmed a dummy being thrown through a fake window that we did in a parking lot. So we shot 3 frames, one going right up to it, one going through it, and then in post they were able to mix that with the actual real window to get Daniel's body going through it. We obviously did not throw Daniel through that window.
No, I probably would not suggest that.
We had the guy who did our werewolf, Vincent, and his team, they helped out with that window, and Kevin was he did our art design, and between Vincent's team and Kevin, they did that window scene. I was really happy with what they were going to do, and then Vincent and his team did a fantastic job with the werewolf. Really happy with that too.
How was the werewolf made?
Clayton, my producing partner, had worked with Vincent before. Vincent, he has worked on a lot of, he did Requiem for a Dream. He did all of the special effects in that movie, and he did the Angel Wings and Dogma, the Kevin Smith movie. Yeah. That Matt Damon and Ben Affleck have these big, huge white wings. He's done a million things. He's a fantastic guy out of New Jersey. He's in LA, but he's originally from New Jersey. when you go to his like studio, he's got like all of these things that he's done over the years, and it's just fantastic. So we hired him, and then he put some designs together, and he's a great artist. He just sketched out some things, and we mixed and matched and did this, and then he was like, I think it was definitely his idea. He was like, I'd like to get a stunt guy out on stilts. So that's the werewolf's like 9 feet tall because of the stilts.
Yeah.
So it got stilts, but yeah, that's just all from his creation. I mean, he's a genius in his line of work, without a doubt, and a great guy too. So
That's pretty cool.
these are actually, these are some of the scenes where we did some of the POV. Like those feet are the original sheriff's feet, for example. These are some of the ones where I think I tried to really do some of that suspense stuff that I was telling you about, where we had some time to do some interesting shots.
Yeah.
From the sheriff's point of view, with the flashlight and the girl, India's under the bed, and just that reveal, and trying to do the big zing with the sound and the music. Like I would have done more of these things. I think is
Who was your composer? Who composed your score for you, Michael?
There's a composer out of LA. His name's Alexander Taylor. Fantastic guy. He actually did this soundtrack for Scream Queen, the documentary about A Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Okay.
I've done a bunch of other things, but we found him through Greg Richling, was the executive music supervisor for Bonded, and Greg comes from the music world. He was in what was the name of the band that he was in? Anyways, another great guy. I can't think of the name. Sorry, Greg. But Alexander Taylor is just a fantastic guy. That I hope again, another person I hope to work with again. But he came up with all these really cool sounds, and was buying like weird instruments and making these noises. And just talking to him for the first time, I was just telling him I really kind of want like an organic kind of dirt ground natural sound kind of thing. And so I think that's kind of where that was what we pulled from. But yeah, the soundtrack is, the music in general is I'm happy with as well. This is like a mix and match. Half of this is the girls are in Kentucky. This is all Kentucky, and then the boys downstairs are in Los Angeles. And
It's amazing how seamless it looks. You would never know unless you're telling us that we'd be thinking it'd just be one location all the time. It's just
Well, that's
really
the parents. We shot with 3 different cars for the parents too. Like you can't tell that either. We have 3 different cars. Like they're close to what they are, but if you were to really look at them, we couldn't get the same car, so we have 3 different cars. But yeah, that's the benefit. I mean, again, I had 2 brilliant DPs that I really appreciate. They were able to mesh this together really well. And then Justin is the editor, another Bonded guy, who did a fantastic job on the edit as a whole. So this staircase is in Los Angeles. This is the meeting of the 2 worlds, if you will. And this was the scene that I was telling you about. We're shooting this, and I'm looking at my watch going like, oh crap, the sun's going to come out. And the scene that immediately follows this outside with the boys, the sun was like, so the stress level for me, this is the only time I lost my cool, and I have since apologized for it, but this stress level of trying to get this stuff here was just like, I was so overwhelmed and burnt out and exhausted and tired at that point too. So yeah, that's the stock shot right there of the match falling I was telling you about.
That's cool.
I did not shoot that. I wish. We bought that. And those flames are, I think, in post. That's clearly not there. The smoke, the smoke is all real. That's just a hazer.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
But the fire. This is another stock shot. We paid for this. We did not shoot that.
I was wondering when we first watched the movie, I was like, because I kind of have a behind the scenes mindset when I watch films. I was like, they could not have burnt that house down. I was like, I wonder how they did that.
No way. This is the scene that like the sun is like peeking over the horizon right here. So this death scene.
Now the fire is a stock shot, right? You said the fire is a stock shot.
Not in the background. The background of this one, that is just done in post. That's just special effect. But the big shots of the fire, and then we shot that neck getting sliced in 2 spots. We shot there with the sun coming up, and then when we did the window gag in the parking lot, we had a dummy with the neck that Vincent had made, and we ran the neck comes open like that, and all that blood comes out. So we mixed the two of them together. So I just had Spencer. I said, Spencer, the werewolf is going 1, 2, 3. Werewolf goes by you. Cover your throat. And he did this, and then we had the body double and outside the parking lot go like this. The neck come up and the blood pour out, and we just cut the two of them together. This is an interesting shot because the first DP on the project, Ed, is a big guy, big tall guy, and this is a porch in the back of that Kentucky house with holes everywhere on the second level that, like, at any point I was like, Ed's gonna fall through and my career is over and this guy's gonna fall on the. And he's like, no, it's fine. And he's up there shooting the girls up there, and it's like, no, Ed, like, I'm just so nervous. I thought the whole thing was just gonna fall down.
Now, how did you do the lighting behind the girls? Was that lighting, or was what kind of lights were you using?
Yeah, that was inside. They had like kind of pseudo strobe light. I don't know the technical term, but they were kind of like red flashing lights. And then again, we had a hazer coming out with all the smoke. So before, it's the same thing with, like, right here with this scene with Will and Thomas. This one we had like a big industrial hose with a smoke or hazer kind of thing that's just constantly pumping out the haze. Same thing with the fire. Anytime you do fire, you want to try and do like the haze and the smoke to accent it, and then you can do the post and do the flames and things like that.
I think, like what you said with the sun coming up in that scene where he slices his throat, it doesn't look like the sun's coming up. It almost just looks like moonlight.
Yeah. That is a tribute to Ben, the DP in LA. He was just, I mean, they that's why they're up against the wall. I mean, one thing that if you have me do lighting, we're lost. I don't do lighting. I don't like. I just, same thing with picking lenses and things like that. I'm not a technical director by any stretch. I'm more focused on the story and the script and the actors, and I try and work with DPs that really can accent and really do what they do, and just trust the process that they're able to do that. I will not be the guy that's holding the camera and switching things and all that. That is not me.
All right. Yeah.
This shot right here. I think we shot this during the day. I think this was actually shot during the day?
I'm actually on an ad. I don't know if you guys are or not.
Oh, no, we'll freeze it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just interrupt us if you get the ad.
Okay.
There's certain parts. There's certain parts where
I'll
I think
ask.
in the day, and then we made it night and post. A few of those.
Yeah.
In there, I think.
Still commercial, Kalel?
Yes, I am.
Michael, going forward with your next film, tell us a little bit about the next film you said that you wrote.
I'm back. What's the time you're on?
We are at I'm at 106.
106. Okay. All right. I'm at your. We're good. Thank
You
you.
good? 106. Got it. Yeah, Mercy Good. It's hopefully going to film later this year. I say hopefully because it was supposed to film last year, but with these things, you never know. It's set in New England during the Salem witch trials. That's the initial start of it. And then it's present day where a family moves into a house that was owned by one of the judges that sentenced the actual witches in Salem back in the day to death, and they're being haunted. And there's some, Patrick, you'd appreciate it because there's some twists and things aren't what they seem to be. And it's one of my favorite scripts I've ever written. So I'm excited. Kevin Lewis is supposed to direct it. He did. He's done a bunch of stuff, but he did something Wonderland. It's one of the Nick Cage movies. Something.
Oh, Willy's Wonderland, yeah.
Yeah, so he's the director of that. He's a partner over at the production company. There goes my cat again. Partner over at the production company that's going to do the movie. So I'm excited for that one. I'm excited to see what Kevin can do with that script. But yeah, they didn't have any notes. I was shocked. They liked the script, and Kevin signed on. So I was like, great. So we'll see. That's my return to horror. I'm excited to see this. This interesting. I think I told you this, Patrick. There's the scene when the werewolf comes up to Jay's feet, and they basically, right before we rolled camera, Vincent went up to him and said, Jay, the stunt guy can't see out of that suit at all. He's on stilts, plus his weight. If he steps on your feet, it's going to break your foot. So whatever you do, make sure your feet are as close to that car as possible. So I don't think Jay is actually. Jay joked about it afterwards. He's like, I wasn't acting in that scene. I was terrified that guy was going to crush my feet.
That's their
Yeah, this is when I was hoping that people would start to put some things together and start to piece a few things together. And I'm sure, I mean, now I know for a fact that a lot of people had figured this out a lot earlier, and some didn't or whatever. But in the script, I think it's one of those things that it's easier to hide it in script form versus the visual longer. Come on, you want to come? Okay, you want to go back? Come on.
stealing scene again.
She's trying to. Oh yeah, so this scene we filmed this during the golden hour, so the sun is going down, but the sky is blue in the background, and then in post.
All right. Gabrielle had a question. She had a question for you. Have you ever just used a day for night filter?
This is probably as close to what they're asking. This was shot during the day. It was golden hour, so like it's getting dark, but it's not nearly this dark. And then our colorist Mark, who's a genius colorist, just was I was blown away how dark he was able to make this and still have all the actors pop. But we shot this, what's called golden hour, which is like that 1 hour when the sun's technically gone, but there's still light. And then he made it dark. In terms of filter, I guess that would be this. It's not in camera. We did it after the fact. But there's all kinds of. I've talked to one of the DPs I worked with a lot. There's movies that they've shot, especially on the Alexas. The Mad Max one with Tom Hardy. They filmed a lot of stuff during the day for night, and that's why that movie has a very blue feel to it as well. A lot of those scenes, if you watch, is it called Fury Road or something like that? They shot those during the day with the I guess the S-stop or whatever, or the camera just really with the low lens or something. I'm not sure how they do it, but that's kind of an interesting thing that I want to try at one point. But this is the scene I love that I think Amanda just kills it in this scene.
I'm going to go back to where we were talking about you saying this movie didn't get great reviews. That is very silly because this is a great movie. I'm getting to the point where it's like, I do not trust IMDb reviews because a lot of movies on IMDb that I read have horrible reviews. I love them. And it's like, you can't trust reviews anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
people are very picky.
Even with Hangman, we got a lot of bad reviews for Hangman, and I remember one of the good ones was not Siskel and Ebert, whoever replaced Ebert after the fact. I think it was
Richard Roper.
Roper gave it a good review, and I reached out to him on Twitter, and I was like, "Hey, thanks for this review." And he's like, "No, you're welcome. I really enjoyed the film." I think with Hangman, I think part of the issue was having Pacino in it. All of a sudden, these expectations for this to be, the next Godfather or whatever. It's just unrealistic expectations, and I think that's unfair.
It's what really sucks though is that, Pacino was great. That had been a long time since Pacino had turned in such a good performance like that. Like, because there's so many movies where he just get through by yelling. I mean, look at The Devil's Advocate. I rewatched that recently, and it's just like, that's not Al Pacino. That guy, all he did was yell. And it's just like, and it's like, I liked him when he was quiet and and he's introspective and he's determined. And I just thought it was a really well written role, and it was directed smartly. I mean, it was a smart script, and it was directed very well. I had no problems with that movie. I thought that movie was outstanding.
Thanks,
Now, to be actually honest, Kalel, because I have not said this yet, but I will share this while I get a chance. So, I was one of those reviewers, but when I watched the movie, I had asked Michael for an interview, and he said yes. And so I said, okay, I'm going to review the movie. And then I came out and I reviewed it, and it's like I didn't know at the time about about production and about budgeting or whatever. Like there's a lot of things that happened that were out of Michael's control. So I didn't know that at the time. I just reviewed it the first time. Did love the premise. I did love that, and I commented on that.
Yeah.
But I thought the movie was a little bit choppy when I first wrote about it, and before I knew. So me and Michael are talking, and all of a sudden he says, Lionsgate's not going to really want me to talk to you after the review. And I said, I have no problem with that, but I still love the movie and I still want to talk to you. So I set him up with an interview with a friend of mine on a podcast. I said, we're gonna work again because I like you. I think I loved Hangman, and I told him that. And so about a year or so later, when I started my YouTube channel and started doing the interview series, Michael was one of the first people I reached out to do it, and he very graciously instantly says yes. And so I learned a lot from Hunter's Moon. I learned a lot about movies from that movie.
Thanks.
How they're made, how they're made.
Part of
Yeah.
that's the beauty of our relationship, right, Patrick? And look, there's
right.
Jay with no hat again. So this was Kentucky filmed right here. So we actually filmed the end of the movie in Kentucky before we had our little break.
Now, who else besides Daniel? Are you still in contact with? Are you in contact with the entire cast? Do you still talk to them on a regular basis, like text them? Or?
Daniel's definitely the most I talk to because we talk about sports, we talk about all kinds of stuff, and we work together again. Jay and I used to text a lot. He recently got married, and so we've kind of lost touch with each other. I'd like to get back in touch with him. Amanda and I talk once in a while. I haven't talked to India in years. Katrina and I text once in a while. She was going to, at one point we were trying to get her to do the project that Daniel and I did last year together, and just couldn't make it work. Spencer I don't talk to. Will I don't talk to. Thomas and I text once in a while about projects and things like that. So I was just texting him actually recently about another horror movie that I'm trying to get off the ground. So that's by and large.
David
LaBrava and I text once in a while as well. He has a new book that actually just came out that I'm excited to go take a look at because his first book was great. Becoming a Son, based on his experience with Sons of Anarchy. So David and I talk too.
How does that work? Is it really hard to stay in touch with people that you work with? I mean, you were together with this crew in this cast for a long time. How has it worked where that happens, where you just fall out of touch? Is it because the lack of projects, the lack of working with each other, and it just fades away until the next project? Or
yeah, I just think everybody's so busy. I mean, life gets in the way. Like I know like for example, I mean, Katrina's recently engaged, just I think like a couple weeks ago or a week ago or whatever. So things like that, and I think people go in different directions. I know Emily, the actress from Kentucky or Indiana, I don't even think she's acting anymore. So
yeah,
I
don't think Emily is either.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't think she's acting right now.
Yeah.
It just like life. I think everyone kind of goes in their different directions, and you bond over the process. I mean, one of the things, this movie was done so quickly and so broken up in two different worlds. I mean, that was one of the reviews that we got too, was that like, oh, the crew's so big, like this should be a better film. And it's like they're not really understanding that there's a whole Kentucky crew and then there's a whole Los Angeles crew. We did not fly the Kentucky crew out here to shoot the 8 days in LA. We used a different crew. So yeah, my credits are longer than a lot of smaller independent films. And this budget is not big. This is not a big budget movie by any stretch. So I think, yeah, you just like it's in the way, and people kind of go in their different directions. And we're all still. I mean, we're friends on social media for sure.
Right.
I like to support each other when I see things coming out, and I think that's probably how I communicate most with the rest of the cast and crew is through social media. I think it's the easiest. It's I'm a love-hate relationship with social media. That's definitely one of the benefits to it.
Yeah. Now, who was Anne Crowley?
That was my grandmother. Yeah, she passed a couple years back, and she was one of the all throughout my life. I've always been a writer. Like I've just written one thing or another. Another movie starting. Let me pause this. She was always something called Night Wolf is about to start. We'll get rid of Night Wolf. Sorry, Night Wolf. Yeah, she just always encouraged me to write, whether it was journaling, short stories, and so I dedicated this movie to her as my first movie. I dedicated my first book to her as well. It's just somebody that I'll always go back to as for inspiration, and she was the matriarch of the family. Still is, even in the past, obviously. But yeah, just someone who, just a beautiful person, intelligent, smart, funny, sweet, loving, was able to raise a bunch of kids pretty much on her own in a time when it was hard to do that. And just like I said, having this be a female empowerment movie, she's the women, like one of the women that raised me, and that's who I see a lot of Patrick, we talked about this. I see a lot of two-dimensional women characters. I just can't relate to them. I don't understand it. I think women are complex and beautiful and smart, and she epitomizes all of these things that I think I see in women. And so that's why I think it was important for it to be dedicated to her as well, because that is what this movie is. It's about some badass.
It is a badass woman taking care of business. I like the end. It's like, where do we go to next? Like and they're on their way to stop a bunch of other killers. I was just marking out. But even when I watched it the first time, I was marking out to the premise, to the ending. I was just like, I'm so here. This is so cool right here. Because werewolves are always treated in horror as the bad guys, and yet here you got a family of good guys that are going to be werewolves taking care of business, and I'm like, nobody does this. Who does this? This is original. And I love that.
Thanks.
And like I said, when I told Kalel that you and I were gonna, I want him to come out there and hang out and watch Hunter's Moon, he had already seen it. He had already seen it. I love that movie. I'm just like,
that's why. That's really
cool. Well, I do believe I put you two guys together so you guys can stay in touch. A couple of young directors, doing notes and stuff like that. I love it.
He's a little bit younger than me, Patrick.
A couple of years. But I'm sure
25 years. But all right, that's nice of you.
I'm sure between the two of you, you guys can stay in touch, and I'm sure Kalel, if you have any questions, mentorship. Mike, that's one of the reasons why I picked you up here, because, like I said before, Michael is one of the most generous, kind-hearted men I've ever met, and I thought it'd be a great idea to put you in contact with a professional. To me, a heavy hitter, and so I'm glad that happened. And I had a tremendous amount of fun. I want to thank the chat. And me and Gabrielle are going to talk again.
Great.
So she's going to come here for another 8 questions with. That'll be awesome. I've been meaning to do that.
She's putting together an awesome play, Patrick. So you should definitely talk to her about that, amongst other things. I'm excited to see what Gabby's got up her sleeve. Yeah,
me too. I want to thank the chat for coming out and hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed the show. And this was absolutely a blast. If you're new to my channel, if you're new to us, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to have all the information for Michael and Kalel's, all their social media. I'll have that in the description box. You guys can go over there and follow them on Instagram and on YouTube as well. Please do that. And we'll be back for our next watch party on Friday, April 12th. me get this out. I can speak. We'll be having director Joe Lujan, director-screenwriter Joe Lujan. He is the owner of Carcass Studios, and he and some of the cast members of Rust 3 will be here on the 12th. Rust 3, and I believe I'll be joined. Hopefully, cross my fingers. I'll be joined by my good buddy Josh Hobbs from Hobbs Horror, and this will be a lot of fun. Hi, Jennifer. I bet you that Jennifer is related to you, isn't it?
To who?
Hello.
Wait, what?
It's
Is
your mom.
Jennifer, is
Oh, that's
Jennifer
probably my mother.
Oh, is it? Okay. That's right. One
Hi,
of the
Mom.
stars. All right. If you two guys stay there for one more second, I'm going to say, there's your dad. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys, thank you for letting Kalel come out there and hang out with us. It's really cool. Really impressed with him. Can't wait for Tennessee Bigfoot. Cannot
Thank
wait.
you so much.
Can't wait. That sounds exciting. Keep us posted.
Thank you.
Anything you need, let me know.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight to the chat. You guys stay right there for one more second. Thank you for coming up. And I will see you on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock for our next 8 Questions With. And we'll be talking to film critic, ironically, a film critic and fellow cinephile, Sin from Sin's Corners. And that'll be Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Thanks so much for coming out. And thank you for your support. Have a great night.